Hey guys, it is time for math. We are going to start out with the place value song. I'm also going to post this below if you would like to watch it and rewatch it, just in case you want some more information about place value. So put your listening ears on and let's watch.
Start from the decimal and you move to the left. You got the ones and tens, then the hundreds, thousands, ten thousands, and hundred thousands, and finally we are at millions. You gotta know your place value. Don't you know what to do? You gotta know your place value. We can solve anything. You must find its identity. Multiply it correctly. You'll see you found a place value. I hate to say this, I have no clue. Don't get this at all. What happens when and what do I do to the right of a decimal? Solve it the same way. Starts with tenth, you know. Spelled it the same way. THS, good to go. Start with the decimal and you work to the right. You got the tenths, hundreds, and the thousands. Follow the same pattern so you know the rest. Just don't forget the THS, no. Now I know my place value. Now I know what to do. Now I know my place value. I can solve anything. I can find its identity. I multiply it correctly. Gotta count 10 and say, I know my place value.
So let's look at this place value chart. Ooh, let's get it nice and straight here for you. Okay, so we have our place value chart. We know that this right here, this is our decimal. This is our decimal point. So we have the tenths and the hundredths. Then when we get to this, we have 1, 2, 3. We know that this is our ones house. We know that this is our thousands house. This is our millions house. And then we know we have our billions at the very end. And that's new and this is new in the 4th grade. So I want to know if you guys remember, that's not what I wanted to do. If you guys remember how to write numbers in standard form, in expanded form, and in word form. So we're going to start with a real easy peasy number. So I'm going to turn my paper sideways because this just helps me organize it. That's all it's for. Help me organize because math has to be organized. Okay, so we're going to start with the number 245. And we know that this is in our, I didn't even write it, guys. This is in our ones house. So if I was going to write this is standard form, right? Standard form just means the plain old way that we see numbers, always 24/7. So we know that that's standard form. If I was going to write it in expanded form, I would take down my 2 and I would add 2 zeros. Then I'd cross it out. I'd bring down my 4. I'd add a 0. And I'd bring down my 5. Then I add my plus signs. But I'm not done yet. I have to flip it. I have to write it as a sentence. So that means I write it like 200 plus 40 plus 5. So that is expanded form. And then word form is when I write it out in words, just like I would say it. So, whoa, did y'all see that? 245. So when I hear you guys reading words or reading numbers, I hear a lot of you saying and. We do not say and unless I see a decimal point. That is the only time that I get to say and when I'm reading a word. So this isn't 245. It's just 245. I have a big problem with that too. Don't worry. We're just going to practice it. Unless you see a decimal point, you're not allowed to say and. Capiche? Okay. So we have word form. We have expanded form, and we have our standard form. Now, I want to take this same number, and I want to teach you one more form. It is called expanded notation. So what I do for expanded notation is I'm going to take this right here, my expanded form, and I'm going to write it again just so I can have nice, neat math. So I'm going to start with my biggest number, and what is this first number right here? 2. I'm going to pull out that 2, and I'm going to multiply it by what place value the 2 is in. So we know that this is ones, tens, hundreds. So I know that 2 is in the hundreds place, so I'm going to multiply 2 times 100. And I'm going to add that to, I got to write down my 4. And I'm going to multiply it by what place value that 4 is in. What place value is that 4 in? We know that this is ones. We know that this is tens. You're right. It's the tens place. And I'm going to add it to, I have a 5. And what place value is this in? You're right. It's the ones. So I'm going to multiply it by 1. And now I have expanded notation. Ooh, fancy, right? That's fancy sounding. That is expanded notation. So we have 4 different ways that we can see numbers now. Standard, that's just a regular way that we see it. Regular way we normally see numbers. We have expanded, and that's when we are adding, we break it up by place value and we add them together. We have word form, and that's when we write it how we say it. And expanded notation is when the multiplication comes into play. So notice, when I have these parentheses, I make sure I put parentheses around this multiplication sentence. So I have my 200 here, and then I've got to add it, and then I have my parentheses around where it's talking about my 40, then I add it, and I have my parentheses around where I would talk about my ones place. So we're going to try this with another number. Y'all ready? Let's do a bigger number because y'all can do a bigger number. Let's try all right. So first let's go ahead and do our houses. Well, we know this is what is this one? We've got our ones house. And then we would, if we had these 3 numbers, we have our thousands house, and then we have our decimal. So let's read this number together. Are y'all reading it with me? Okay, you better be reading it with me. Let me hear you. 2,743 and 18 hundredths. We know this is our tenths place, and this is our hundredths place. So we say an 18 hundredths. Okay, so let's start by putting this in expanded form. That's where we take our popcorn kernel and we pop it and we make it into one big sentence. So we start with our biggest place value. We write down our 2 and we fill the rest up. Oh, make sure you put a decimal point right here. We're going to fill the rest up with zeros. So we're done with the 2. We're going to bring down our 7 and we are going to fill the rest up with zeros. We're going to bring down our 4 and we're going to fill the rest up with zeros. We're going to bring down our 3, fill the rest up with zeros. Now this is new for you guys, so pay attention. I'm going to bring down my 1 and fill the rest up with zeros. The real important thing is that you keep this decimal point all lined up on that line. And if you're doing it like I tell you to, where you turn your notebook paper sideways, it's all going to be real nice and neat. Mark it off, and then I'm going to bring down my decimal point. Here's the difference, guys. Bring down my decimal point. I've got to add a placeholder here because I can't just leave it blank because I'm going to bring down my 8. If I just left it blank, it would be a decimal point and then nothing and then an 8. So I've got to put a 0 there as a placeholder. So now that we have done this, it is time to write it in sentence form. And that's going to be 2,000. And I'm not going to add those .00 because there's no need to right now. So I'm just going to leave it as 2,000. 2,000 plus 700 plus 40 plus 3 plus 1/10 plus 8 hundredths. So now it is time. It is time to do, that's expanded form. Let's write that down real quick so that you remember. And we are going to do expanded notation. Expanded notation. So remember, we start with our parentheses and we bring down whatever is the number right here. And we know that that's a 2. And we're going to multiply it by whatever place value that 2 is in. So we know that this is thousands. That 2 is in the thousands place because we know that this is the ones, tens, hundreds, and we know that this is the thousands place. So we're going to do 2 times 1,000. We're going to add that. Don't forget your parentheses. We're going to bring down our 7. And we're going to multiply it by whatever place value that 7 is in. And we know that that is 700. So obviously, y'all hear that 700. So we know that we're going to multiply it by 100. And then we're going to add it to, remember, we're going to bring down that 4. What place value is that 4 in? Well, we know it's ones, tens. So we have our 4 in the tens place. So we're going to multiply it by whatever place value it's in. And then we're going to add it to bring down our 3. What place value is that 3 in? You should have said ones. So we're going to multiply it by 1. Okay, so here's the tricky part. We've got to look and see what place value something is. So we've got to bring down that number. So we're going to bring down our 1. Not just a 1. We have our 1 in the what place? The tenths place. So we're going to multiply it by a tenth. And that's what a tenth looks like. And then, I'm running out of room, guys. We're going to add it I'm going to bring it down below. We've got to bring down this 8. So we're going to do 8. And we're going to multiply that 8 by whatever place value it's in. So this is how you show hundredths. That is how you show the hundredths place value. This right here, 0.01. That means that's 1/100th. All right, I know that was a lot, but we're going to try it again. Don't worry. Let's try it. Okay, that's a big number. Y'all ready? When we write our numbers, I want you to make sure you're writing 1 per line. So everybody pause the video, get out a piece of notebook paper and a pencil because we're going to do this together. Okay, so you should unpause by now. So you should be writing the same thing as me. So okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do my ones house and my, because remember we read numbers by thousands house. And now I'm going to go ahead, and I know that's a decimal, so I'm going to write right here tenths. You should be writing the same thing as me on your paper. And if I'm going too fast, just pause the video and write it for yourself. And hundredths. Just like on the video, you know how to spell it because all you got to do is spell 100 and then add THS. Or spell 10 and add THS. So now that we've got it all nice and color-coded, we are going to do expanded form. Actually, I want to read the number together before we ever start. Let's read the number together. So all together, let's say 52,465 and 91 hundredths. Remember, we read when we get to the comma. So when we get past the decimal point, we've got to read the place value when we get to the end of the decimal. When we get to the end of that, so we say 52,465 and, that's the only time you get to say and, so y'all better take advantage of it, and 91 hundredths. Say it with me one more time so you get the hang of it. 52,465. Did y'all yell and? I know you did because that's the only time you get to say it. And 91 hundredths. So let's do the hard part. Expanded notation and expanded form. We're going to start with expanded form because it's easier that way. So we're going to bring down our 5 and we're going to fill the rest up with zeros. Check it off. Bring down our 2. Fill the rest up with zeros. Bring down our 4. Fill the rest up with zeros. Bring down our 6. Fill the rest up with zeros. Bring down our 5. Fill the rest up with zeros. I want to see if you can do this. This is new to expanded form, the tenths and the hundredths place. I want you to pause the video and I want you to do the tenths and the hundredths place without my help. Pause the video and try. All right, you should have unpaused and yours should look like this. We've got our decimal point and we're going to bring down our 9 and add a 0. So we're going to bring down our decimal point. Remember, we can't forget that decimal point. Remember, we have to add our placeholder right here because we don't have a number there, but we still have to have it or else it would be blank. And we're going to bring down our 1 in our hundredths place. All right, and you should have crossed those out. And your expanded notation, or your expanded form, my bad, sorry, should look like this. But remember, that's not good enough. We have to write it flipped in a sentence. So let's write it in a sentence. It looks like, I'm going to use up all my space over here because this is a big number. 50,000 plus, make sure you're writing with me. I know my head's a little bit in the way. I'm sorry, I'll move it up here. 50,000 plus 2,000 plus 400 plus 60 plus 5 plus 9/10 plus 1/100th. And we do add those zeros on the very beginning before the decimal. We do add those zeros. Now, are they worth anything? Nah, 0 is worth squat. But we still are going to add them. So now, after we wrote that big long sentence, we went from a popcorn kernel to a piece of popcorn. We're going to expand it even more. I wish popcorn could get even bigger, like maybe a giant popcorn ball of expanded notation. So we're going to start with our 50,000. Remember, we're going to bring down our 5. We start with parentheses. That's really important. We have to put parentheses around this. So we start with our parentheses and we bring down our 5 because we know that that's the first number here. And we're going to multiply it by whatever place value that 5 is in. Well, we know that this is in the ones, tens, hundreds, 1,000, 10,000s place. So we're going to multiply it by 10,000 because we know it's in the 10,000s place. And then we're going to add it. Remember, we're going to start our parentheses and we're going to write down whatever number is right here, the very first number. So we've got a 2. And we're going to multiply that by whatever place value that 2 is in. So we know it's in the ones, 10, say it with me, hundreds, thousands. So we got to multiply it by 1,000. And then we're going to add it to parentheses. You should be writing with me. We're going to bring down whatever number is first. So it's a 4 in this case. And we're going to multiply it by whatever place value that 4 is in. What place value is the 4 in? 1, 10, 100. So we are going to multiply it by 100. Then we're going to add it to, bring down whatever number is first. So we have a 6. And multiply it by whatever place value that 6 is in. So ones, tens. We're going to multiply it by 10 plus, can y'all do this one? What do I bring down? Let me hear ya. 5. And I multiply it by whatever place value that 5 is in. And what place value is the 5 in? Let me hear ya. The ones place, we multiply it by 1. All right, and then I add it to, whew, guys, almost done. I add it to, what's our first number? Yep, a 9. And I'm going to multiply that 9 by whatever place value that 9 is in. And we know that the 9 is in the 10ths place. And we represent the 10ths place by 0.1. And then we're going to add it to, what is our number right here? 1. And I'm going to multiply that by whatever place value that number is in. And we know it's the 10ths and then the 100ths place. So, funny, we represent the 100ths place exactly the same way that looks. So, we took our number 52,465 and 91/100ths, and we took it and we from a small little popcorn kernel, and we went and we put it into a piece of popcorn. Then we took all these little popcorn kernels and we went and we made it into a huge popcorn ball, which is expanded notation. So today for your activity, I am going to give you, or post on Canvas, one of these nice little cards. You're going to do what we have been doing, and you're going to edit the PDF. Edit the PDF. Remember, we take our little, well, if I could get this to look right. We take our little marker on the left-hand side and we press it, and we are going to write on this. Now, when it says word form down here, yes, you are more than welcome to zoom in by pinching and write in word form. But listen, if I can't read it, I'm going to count it wrong. So you can also add a text box by clicking the T, and you can type in what the word form is. So that's for the word form. For expanded notation, you can type all of this or you can write all of this. You just have to make sure I can read it. So this might make you go a little bit backwards. So if it's asking you for word form and it is in expanded notation, you're probably going to have to put it back into expanded form so that you can read the numbers. You're going to have to make that into a number before you can read it and write it. So you'll do that, you'll submit it to me, and then you will be done for the day. I know that was a lot, and I know this was a long video, but this is important for you guys to know. So if you need anything, you can just get on Zoom, and I will help you back through this if you do not understand it. You guys have fun. I love you, and have a great, fantastic day. Bye.